How many of you like going out to eat? And if I were to ask you how much you would tip on your bill, would you say 10, 15, or 20%? Well, today I'm going to tell you why you should always tip your server 20%. I will tell you about the server's salary, reasons that should not affect you tipping 20%, and proper tipping etiquette. I have been waitressing for 14 years, and I feel this topic is important to share with you because the service industry is a major source of employment for college students, and unless you have been a server, you might not know the ins and outs of tipping. Minimum wage for servers has remained stagnant for the last 20 years, with over half the U.S. still paying waitresses $2.13 an hour without tips. Oftentimes, that minuscule wage is swallowed up by taxes, leaving the average waitress to live on their tips alone. According to HowStuffWorks.com, servers pay taxes on 8 to 10% of the total receipts, not actual tips that they earn. This means that if you do not tip your server, he or she is actually losing out on money because they are paying taxes based on the amount of your meal. In addition to small wages, servers also must give a percentage of their tips to bartenders, cooks, and back-of-house employees. This is something to take into consideration when tipping your server. When you go out to eat, there are many things that may affect the quality of your overall dining experience. And research has shown that the quality of service is not always the deciding factor, and that while the server is in charge of some of these factors, many things are beyond their control. Some of these things are the wait, whether it is to get a table or for your food. The food in general maybe was not to your liking, the noise, the prices, or the timing of everything may have been off. Sometimes it is easy to forget that there are lots of other factors and people that may prevent you from having a smooth dining experience. But remember, just because the server is the one to apologize for any and all things, that it was not necessarily their fault, and their tip should not be a reflection of that. Tipping can be baffling for some, and tipping etiquette has changed dramatically over the years. But here are a few guidelines that will help you make the best tipping decision for your situation. First and foremost, always tip. Whether you had a mediocre dining experience or you serve yourself at a buffet, many of the restaurant employees get a percentage of the tip you leave. Always round your bill up to the nearest $10 and tip 20% on that amount. If you can't afford a tip, don't use that service. By not tipping on the tax amount, you are stiffing the server out of their fair share. And finally, tipping 20% almost always guarantees you the prompt and proper service you expect when dining out. While it is important to be frugal with your money, tipping is not an area in which you should be trimming your budget. Eating out and being waited on is a luxury, and your tip goes to the many hardworking people providing you with an excellent dining experience. So it is only fitting to tip your server 20%. Your tip could ultimately be the gas money, food in the homes of the servers, or clothes for their children. And no one wants to be the reason that a hard worker goes without life's necessities. So remember the next time you are dining out to tip your server 20%. Here's my visual aid. This is proper tipping etiquette in the U.S. Servers should always get 15 to 20%. Bartenders should get 15 to 20% or $1 or $2 per drink. Room service, 15 to 20%. Valet, $2 to $5. Taxi driver, 15%, and if they grab any of your bags out, you should be tipping them $2 on every bag. Hairdresser, 15 to 20%, and your local postman, this is optional, but at holidays it's always nice to give them a tip.